Malaysia's King has urged Parliament to reconvene quickly. He's met with state rulers at a special conference to discuss the government's handling of the COVID-19 pandemic. Malaysia has been under a state of national emergency since January to help curb the spread of COVID-19. Parliament has also been suspended. And for more on this, Melissa Goh joins us. Mel, the strongest call yet then from the King that the state of emergency must be lifted.
Well, the King, Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin, in a statement issued by the National Palace this evening, said after having gathered all the feedbacks from political leaders as well as the independent advisory committee that includes health, security, economic and political experts, he said His Majesty is of the opinion that the Parliament ought to be reconvened as soon as possible so that issues such as the emergency ordinance and measures to help the people, the spending bills, including the National Recovery Plan that was just unveiled by Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin yesterday, can be debated in the lower house. Now, he's convinced that the Parliament is the platform for MPs to articulate and fine-tune the policies. Now, the Parliament last session was in December. It's been suspended since the emergency was declared in Malaysia in January. Now, this is not the first time that the King has made such call. Earlier this year, the palace issued a statement saying that, the Parliament can continue to sit during an emergency, but the message was sort of ignored by the current government. Nothing was done. Now, Prime Minister Muhyiddin has sought emergency powers in January that allows Parliament to be suspended because he said he needed the political stability to better fight the pandemic. Otherwise, the power struggle and the leadership challenge would just go on, disrupting his government in fighting the pandemic. But the fact remains is that many have pointed out, not just the opposition leaders, that cases have surged since January, along with death toll. More than 4,000 have died, and 80% of deaths were recorded this year. It's been one lockdown after another, and people are suffering, they're frustrated. Businesses are languishing. Now, Prime Minister Muhyiddin believes that Malaysia will be able to exit the lockdown by year-end, if not earlier, if 60% of the population vaccinated, and average cases were dropped by, to 500. In fact, he said he's ready to reopen Parliament by September, if not October. But, the King, he has spoken today. He hopes that the Parliament can sit immediately. It remains to be seen, though, whether the government, whether Prime Minister Muhyiddin will heed his call, because as a constitutional monarch, he cannot act on his own. He can only advise the Prime Minister through moral suasion. But that's about it.
Mel, what else was discussed then at this rare conference with state rulers?
Well, the King said that he wants a stable and strong government. And he also hopes that the government can cut the red tape and reduce the bureaucracy in order to speed up the current efforts to fight the pandemic. More vaccines, such as those approved for emergency use overseas, should be brought in to widen the pool of vaccines. Sources are saying now Malaysia needs to vaccinate about 200,000 to 300,000 a day in order to achieve herd immunity by year-end. So far, less than 6% of the population have been vaccinated. Now, although the government has stepped up and accelerated the national immunization program with 200,000 doses administered today, which is the highest so far. But more needs to be done for the people. Many have lost their jobs, their entire savings wiped out, and businesses too are in dire straits. The government National Recovery Plan, they said, offers nothing to help them weather and survive the lockdown. Let's listen in to representatives from SME I spoke with earlier.
We have lost almost 2 years in this battle against the pandemic, and it will take us easily up to a whole decade to make back the lost ground. A national recovery plan that does not prioritize the survival, recovery, and growth of our economic sector would be untenable. We are confident that the Prime Minister has the welfare of the close to 1 million SMEs at heart.
Now, various stimulus packages have been dished out by the current government. And according to the Finance Minister, Tengku Zafro, he said there's still money in order to dish out if the situation warrants, but people are calling for a blanket moratorium on the debt because that is still not given by the banks, and many people are pushing for it, and the government is saying no to that.
All right, many thanks for that. Minister Goh speaking to us from Kuala Lumpur.